Hi everybody, welcome back to Kelly Bailey Fitness. And today we are going to be doing another cooking segment. So we're actually in my studio. We're going to talk a little bit about working out, post-workout, pre-workout nutrition. And I have my friend Mike with me here again, Mike Hose. He is owner-operator of Naturalistic Health Options. He is a lean health coach. He also does nutritional testing, so that's hair mineral analysis testing. He does some blood testing, and he sells nutritional products. And he was the one who sold me this lovely tower garden, which we are going to be including some of the herbs and the lettuces that I've grown in this tower garden, which I am not a green thumb. So you see green here. It's very, very simple to operate this thing. I absolutely love it. So Mike, I'll let you talk a little bit more about what you do, your naturalistic health options, some of your testing, and you are going to start us off today with a smoothie and also a pre-workout. So I'll let you kind of cover that a little bit.
Yeah, so just to kind of give you a little background about the testing and why maybe I chose some of the products that we're going to have and use in the smoothies. One of the tests that you'll find on the website, which is www.naturalistichealthoptions.com, you'll find it's a finger prick blood test. It's really easy to do at home. The kits you'll get mailed. It'll actually end up going to your house. You do the test, you mail it out to the lab, and then the results come back. And you'll get a report like this. And if it's in the green, that means good. But if you see things out into the red, that means you're having some kind of response to it, an antibody response. So you'd want to avoid those foods. So for me, dairy, whey protein, things like that are really high for me. So we'll be not using any dairy products specifically for me. Everybody's different. There's a lot of information out there that's come out recently, especially from the Mayo Clinic, talking about dairy, talking about gluten, things like that. Maybe you've heard people talk about, oh, gluten-free, dairy-free. Well, this is the testing. This is like the information that goes along with it. But there's a lot of new research out in the magazines that you can find talking about it. But even like I work with a lot of kids. Sometimes we find asthma related with some of the dairy products. Skin rashes can be with like gluten or even dairy. But even like a lot of kids dealing with ADHD or maybe just a little bit of brain fog, there's a lot of new research showing. And I didn't know that I had like mental clarity type issues until I took away the dairy, and then everything's just seemed to be so much more crisp. So really just so much more information I share, and I get to work with a lot of adults, but a lot of kids too. And what we do is we try to basically help them. The other test that you talked about was the hair mineral analysis test, and you'll probably be able to look at this later or go on my website and be able to tap on a sample report and see what it looks like. But it will check your nutritional balances. Are they low? Are they optimal? Do you have too much of something? And you can tweak it. It'll tell you what foods to add or avoid so that you can kind of find better balance. It also looks for heavy metals. So, you know, the Tower Garden, I like it because you're growing your own food. So sometimes when you eat the food that's been sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, they contain some toxins. And if you get too much, it can add up. So you can see mercury was a little bit high for me. Ultimate goal for the people is I usually try to find a better balance and get them clean. So that's a little bit about the testing. So first off, like let's say before workout, maybe an hour before, maybe an hour and a half, you want to do a pre-workout. I do something simple. A lot of kids are looking at like energy drinks and things like that, right?
Yes, and I get a lot of questions about pre and post-workout nutrition. And I see a lot of people, or even my athletes who are doing cycle races or triathlons or running races, and I ask them, well, what do they use? And they use things like goo or these energy drinks. And I'm like, there are better alternatives if you're looking for something that's a little bit healthier, that doesn't have the artificial ingredients, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, because like Red Bulls and things like that, people are getting a lot of caffeine. They're looking, but the one that I really like, so water is good, right? Coconut water.
Water's always good.
Coconut water's good, but sometimes kids want something with a little flavor. So there's good, better, and best options out there. This Body Armor has no artificial sweeteners, no artificial colorants. It has zinc in there, which is good for your immune system, vitamin Bs. So I'll just take this, kind of throw it in a shaker cup. Really easy. The 2 protein powders that I'm using, that I've been taking for quite a few years. It's a plant-based, so it doesn't have the whey because my body doesn't do good with it. So there's the complete, but then there's also this Perform for athletes, and it's got beet roots and protein and also a non-GMO soy. I really like this one, especially with this pre-workout mix, just because of the taste, but also the extra protein. I've been noticing a lot of gains. There's a lot of research about getting more beet nutrition or beet juice,
I've seen
right?
a lot about beets recently. And for those people who don't like beets, you're not going to taste beets in this.
No, you won't. That's a good thing, and it's easy to get a little bit in, but I still try to put beets like in my salad. So literally something simple. Somebody could travel with it if you're like on the road or on vacation. You can see it's easy to travel with this stuff, but it's just something really light and easy. You just shake it up and then drink it, and you're gonna get a lot of extra nutrition. So I'll let you maybe be.
Am I the taste
tester? You can
tester?
just give it a little taste there.
All right. Oh, and see look, it's pretty pink.
See what you think. So yeah, that's
very pretty pink.
That's the beets and this. So just something.
It tastes like fruit punch.
Right, and it's just something most kids will drink it, they'll like it, and get a lot more protein in their system.
Life tip for kids though.
Yeah.
Don't tell them they're going to like it.
Yeah.
Don't tell them it's good for them.
Don't say it's healthy.
The minute you plant that idea in their head, they'll be like, oh, I don't like it. It wouldn't matter what it was. It could be a brownie, and you say, oh, you're gonna love it. No,
right.
They don't like it.
Yeah,
Very good stuff.
So true, so true. And as soon as you say it's healthy or it's good for you or it's fruits and vegetables, they automatically have this envision that it's not good for them. So that's kind of like a pre-light workout type drink that I might do, or post-workout sometimes, even if I want to just get something quick into my body. Because you, as a fitness instructor, know there's something about loading your muscles or something. After you work out, you have like a window where you want to replenish.
Yes. So when people ask me about pre and post workout nutrition, I often tell them, depending on the workout. Now you're training right now for a Murph with CrossFit.
Right.
That's a very, very high intensity workout. So you probably need a pre-workout. If you're running a marathon or if you're running a 10K, you probably need pre-workout nutrition. For me, I do fasted workouts, so some people don't need, if you're just going for a walk, you probably don't need pre-workout nutrition. But post-workout nutrition, I feel like, is more important, because when you do work out, you create what's called a carb sink or a glycogen sink. So your muscles at that time after you work out are primed to, instead of putting calories towards maybe body fat, your body is primed to put nutrition calories towards muscle recovery. So the recovery stuff, in my mind, is a little bit more important. So I know what you're gonna do is you're gonna maybe talk a little bit about this Tower Garden.
Yeah.
And then we're actually gonna utilize the Tower Garden today for some very simple, fresh recipes. And he's gonna start with a post-workout smoothie.
Yeah, it's kind of like a shake almost, the way I like to make mine. But yeah, the Tower Garden. So I'm partnered with the Juice Plus company, and we represent all non-GMO type whole food products. But we also do this Tower Garden, in which you can see it recycles the water. It uses nutrients that you put in there, grows about 2/3 the time, and uses about 10% of the water. So very sustainable. We're getting them into the schools to teach kids how to grow their own food, eat their own food. So going really well. Some of the kids never had a salad before. But if you want to check out the Tower Garden, you can go to my website, www.hose.towergarden.com, and check it out. And then you can reach out to me too. But all we're going to do is just pick some right off the Tower Garden. We're going to put this into our smoothie.
Do you like kale in your smoothie?
Sure, if you want to throw it.
You've got a really good blender, so
yeah,
it'll blend it up.
Yeah, help me grab some stuff. So the cool thing is too, when we do these little things, with the kids, we'll get the kids to kind of pick spinach or kale or anything they want, throw it in here, blend it all up. They don't even know that it's in their smoothie half the time. So it's almost like having a salad with your smoothie, and you're just getting more plant-based, green, good, healthy stuff in the kids, and they don't even really know it.
Lovely kale.
Yeah.
Get that little bit of dead stuff out of
And
there.
so much about picking it right. It's like, you know, and sometimes when you buy it at the store, they've picked it how many days ahead of time, maybe a week.
Right.
And then they have to ship it to the store. It might sit on the shelf for a couple of days. So the good thing about Tower Garden is it's always vine ripe and fresh.
Yes.
So yeah, you can see we threw some greens in there. I always put that at the bottom so it gets chopped up. Now I like to use organic strawberries. There was a really good study back in 2010 talking about an acid in strawberries and how it fights against cancer. Also showed different foods like dark chocolate. I think we all love dark chocolate. Not milk chocolate, but dark chocolate. And that's why I use sometimes this the chocolate. And this is a pea protein milk that I use. It's just better for me based on my test results. Some people might use almond milk, coconut milk, oat milk. There's all kinds of alternatives out there. So what I do is just throw this in there to give you a liquid. You can use whatever works best for your body, but you're gonna need to put some kind of solution in there. Might be a little bit thicker than normal. Now I like to do a scoop of this. You can do 2 scoops of this, or I do a scoop of the beet protein, and then I'll mix it with either the chocolate or vanilla. And that way, because there's a little bit of different, you can look at the ingredients that's in here, and I'll have something that you can actually view that shows what's exactly in some of these proteins. But like I said, they're all non-GMO, made from whole foods, and just put into a powder form. So we got the strawberries in there, we've got some of the kale, we got some other lettuce blends. Now all we gotta do is blend all that up.
That's the quietest blender I think I've ever heard.
I started off really slow so it doesn't kind of...
Okay.
Yeah. But I've had NutriBullets and other things, blenders, but definitely the Vitamix has lasted the longest. And sometimes people, they just will only like blend it up for like 15 seconds or something. And you really want to let it all blend up and work together. And
especially when it comes to kale.
Kale, spinach, any protein powder too, I think that you have. Sometimes what people will do is they won't blend it enough, and then it'll be chalky a little bit, and they just don't like the taste of it.
I think we should say something about that when you turn it off. All right, so yeah, that's a really nice blender. And when the blender was running, we were talking, but I think a really important tip, especially when you're putting something like kale or spinach or greens or even celery into your smoothies, I think it's really important point that Mike made. You really need to blend it well. So run your blender a little bit longer to make sure that those things get really chopped up, especially if you're giving this to kids. And one of the things that I love about this, about these green smoothies, is that they are not green. So if you try to give, again, as parents, you try to give a kid something that's green, they're gonna be like, ew, I'm not gonna eat that. So if it's colored like chocolate,
right,
or if it were colored, if we were doing a vanilla smoothie, I usually will put a lot of berries and it turns it a red or a pink color.
Yeah.
And that works a lot better than handing them, a super bright green smoothie.
True. So yeah, give this a
Cheers.
try. So this is all plant-based.
I mean, if you froze that, it could be chocolate ice cream.
Right?
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
good.
it's
really good.
So that's definitely my favorite pea protein milk and my mixture. You can do whatever you want, like you said, vanilla. There's lots of options, but it's just an easy way to get a lot of nutrition into your body. And when it's all blended up like that, we absorb it so much easier. And yeah, hopefully this helps you guys with some options, because there's a lot of people looking for plant-based options. So many people are finding out that they might have dairy intolerance or something like that. So this, we're just trying to make it easier for people.
Just really quickly, how would you know? I know you have a dairy intolerance, and that actually didn't come up. I did these tests, and that didn't come up in my testing. But how would you know? Like, what would be maybe some of the symptoms of food intolerances? Because a lot of people don't connect what's happening in their body with an intolerance.
So yeah, there's a food allergy, which can be like anaphylactic shock, but then there's an IgG that we test for, which is more of a sensitivity or an intolerance to it. So Commonly with dairy, it could be mucus, it could be asthma, congestion in your sinuses, like a histamine response. Bloating is a big one. Sometimes you eat and you get bloated. Gluten and dairy are big for that. IBS, irritable bowel type stuff. Skin rashes like eczema is really known to be synced up with dairy. Gluten, sometimes they call it chicken skin. You'll get these like little bumps and stuff on your arms.
Yep.
It's usually gluten sensitivity that I find with it. So those are the most common, I guess, is skin reactions, respiratory, like congestion, asthmatic type stuff, brain fog even. It just clogs you up a little bit because your body's got this histamine, so you're just clogged up. But yeah, fatigue even. There's so many things that when people find out they have the sensitivity and then they just take it out of their diet, say dairy or gluten, they notice they're maybe less bloated, their digestive system is calmed down, they're not having all these reactions or irregular kind of stuff. And then sometimes their rash will clear up, even acne's been linked to different things like food sensitivity, dairy or gluten or eggs or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of endless. It's almost like everything, right, that's going on is probably caused, a lot of it, maybe 75%, from some of the foods that we're eating and we thought was healthy. I used to always think like dairy was good for me because that's what I grew up. Dairy does the body good, makes strong, healthy bones. But now I've learned that no, dairy is not good for me. I found plant-based options. I get plenty of calcium by just eating green, leafy type vegetables. So,
and lifting.
Yeah. And
lifting weights.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what I was looking for because, like I said, I meet a lot of people who it's pretty clear, and it's not necessarily the food. It's that they have some sort of a gut, either dysbiosis or they have what's called the leaky gut. And so, certain foods, and this is why some people will say, well, I wasn't allergic or I didn't have a sensitivity to dairy a couple years ago. And it's like, well, it's entirely possible that you didn't then, but it's a progressive thing where if your gut is not healthy, then you can start to become sensitive to all of these different things. Part of healing your gut is eliminating what's causing the troubles, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but I see clients with skin issues. Skin issues is a big one. Bloating, constipation, and or diarrhea, those are big ones for clients that I see. So
yeah, no, it's definitely a reaction with your microbiome, right? Your gut. So a lot of us maybe don't have enough lactobacillus, which is necessary to break down the lactose or the dairy. And they found that, maybe 15% of the population really still has it. So we've depleted it maybe through the use of antibiotics and other reasons, just genetically, that we just never had that ability to break down cow's milk compared to like goat's milk. Like I do really good. If you look at my test results, I'll have it as a pop-up. I do good with goat's milk. I don't get those reactions, but the casein protein in goat's milk is like a mother's breast milk. Compared to cow's milk, it's completely different. So our bodies doesn't recognize it. They're talking about, GMOs. They genetically modified some of the plants, so then when our body eats it, it doesn't recognize it, as a food that we maybe should be eating. So it can create these histamine responses. But use of antibiotics, a lot of different things. Maybe a lot of stress in your life. Maybe you drink too much alcohol for a period of time. There's a lot of things that can change your gut. And the cool thing is there is testing out there that you can kind of check that too. But like you said, leaky gut, that's kind of become an issue. A lot of inflammation people dealing with, and then it gets in the bloodstream too soon, and they have multiple reactions with almost anything they eat, and they have to heal all that.
Right.
And how do you heal all that? With good nutrition, right?
That's
with
right.
Good food, omegas and things like that.
That's right. Good nutrition is extremely important, and getting rid of the things that are causing problems for you, for sure. All right, so we are going to move on from here, and I'm going to be making a few simple summer recipes utilizing herbs and some of the greens from the Tower Garden, so stick with us.
Thank you for being an Armstrong customer. As your internet, TV, and telephone provider, we continually invest in our state-of-the-art fiber optic network across 6 states to meet current needs and stay ahead of future demands. Our employees are your family, friends, and neighbors. Their dedication to customer service sets us apart as an industry leader. We believe it's our responsibility to be good community partners through sponsorships and outreach programs like Breaking Bread. Why Armstrong? Unmatched employees, unmatched customer care, unmatched fiber network.
All right, so now utilizing the Tower Garden, what we're gonna do is make 3 simple recipes, and these are ones that I tend to make all summer long since I'm getting fresh tomatoes, maybe at the farmer's market, and if you're growing some herbs and some lettuces at home, either in your Tower Garden or outside in your garden, utilizing those things as you pick them, as they grow, it just makes for really fresh eating. And this is one of my favorite things. And I like to keep it simple when it comes to recipes. And for the most part, with the exception of one of the recipes that I'm gonna make today, there's really no cooking involved, and I generally don't do a lot of measurements. So if you're one of those people who is really annoyed by not measuring, I'm really sorry if you're one of those type A's. All right, so the first recipe that I'm gonna do is a simple chicken salad. And it's actually, this one is not gonna be as simple. You can put as little into this recipe or as much as you want. So it's going to be a dill chicken salad. So you could grill your own chicken, or I love making chicken salad with smoked chicken. It's the best. But if you're busy, if you're a busy parent, you got a kid in soccer, whatever, canned chicken works too. I'm just gonna throw a little bit of canned chicken in a bowl. And then I am going to use a mayo. So when you're choosing your mayo at the store, I tend to go with something simple like an avocado oil mayo, because it's got good healthy fat in it, versus most mayos are made with soybean oil, which is a very pro-inflammatory fat to be using. So this is very simple. It's avocado oil, organic eggs, egg yolks, vinegar, sea salt, and organic rosemary extract. That's all that's in it. Now, if you had a sensitivity to eggs, you probably would want to stay away from mayo. Are there alternatives
For eggs?
to mayo
I don't
for
know.
like
mayo.
for like a salad like this?
It might be. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know I have some egg alternatives for making other things, but it's usually using flaxseed.
Okay.
Or flax meal, and then mixing it with water to give you some of the omegas and stuff from it. But
I know that there's
I think there is some alternatives you could probably find at mustard seed. I've just never dabbled into it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if they're just for the, if somebody was sensitive to eggs. I'm not sure if there is an alternative to mayo.
Right.
So something to look into.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna have you take some dill off of there.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to using fresh herbs, you're probably gonna use, I don't know, wouldn't you say double the amount of a dried? Because dried herbs are more, they tend to be more concentrated, correct?
Yes.
So you're gonna use a lot more of the fresh herb versus a dried herb. So while he's getting that, one of my other ingredients is gonna be, I'm gonna take about a half of an apple, and you could dice it up. I'm gonna use this very handy dandy chop wizard. I love this thing because I do not like chopping fruits and vegetables.
I'm gonna have to get me one of those chop wizards.
I love the chop wizard.
I saw you using it
I
at the
love
last demonstration.
So yep, we're just gonna put that apple in there. The kids love to do this too. You put something on there, you just gotta hit it real hard, and it chops it up real nice for you. And let's see here. I think we're going to, I also put a red onion, a little bit of red onion in it. Again, if you don't like apple, don't use apple. If you don't have an apple, don't use apple. If you don't have red onion, you don't need it. If you want to do this super simple, you can do the dill, the mayo, and the chicken, and that's really all you need. All right. And I'm not going to use too much of the red onion because I don't know if the onions so recently, they seem like they're so strong.
Strong? Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to throw that. All right. So I'm just gonna take our chopped apple and our chopped red onion, and I'm gonna put that in here. All right, and then Mike, I'm gonna, once you get that all stripped off of there, and see, I do it the lazy man's way, and some people would complain. I actually just chop up the stems too.
Oh, okay. Hey,
Nothing goes to waste here.
it's all edible, right?
My family complains though.
What I normally do is I just take the stems out,
Right.
but then I'll usually put it outside for the rabbits to eat or something like that.
There you go. See, and we have rabbits, so we can
bit of food
just
for the
take it
rabbits.
right out there. All right. Now, I happen to have some dried cranberries, so I'm going to use just a handful of those in this chicken salad. Again, if you don't like dried cranberries, don't use them. Let's see here. So we got our
dill?
onion. Yes, and if you would like to chop that up a little bit. I don't know, do you usually chop it some?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna get this stuff out of the way. All right, and then I usually do just a little bit. This is lemon juice. You could squeeze a real lemon, but we're not gonna go that far today. I do a little bit of stone ground mustard. So little squeeze of that in there. Again, if you don't like mustard, don't put it in. A little bit of salt. A little bit of ground pepper. And then I really like smoked paprika. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of that in there too. And then as soon as he's done with the dill, I'm gonna make him chop some walnuts. I like walnuts in mine. Are you're allergic to walnuts?
Nope.
Okay, awesome.
The only thing I'm really is dairy and coffee. Unfortunately,
That
coffee.
is, yes, that's just a tragedy.
But I found some teas and stuff that I drink, so I don't even. It's been about almost 2.5 years, I think, since I had coffee. And
Wow.
everybody's like, "No way, I wouldn't survive without coffee." And I was the same person. I used to have like a shot of espresso and all that. So, but now it's like I just don't even miss it.
Oh, well, good for you. All right.
But you don't have a sensitivity to coffee, so you can drink it.
I don't, but honestly, if I had a sensitivity to coffee, I don't know that I would quit coffee. I just
Not always
just
easy.
being honest. I know no coffee.
There's even cheese, dairy. People like, yeah, I don't know if I can give up cheese because I love cheese, right? Everybody loves cheese.
You know what's funny? I heard somebody, probably a podcaster, say once that the more you crave something, the more addicted you feel to something, the more you're probably sensitive to it. And
Yeah.
dairy's a big one.
Yes, so I think when your body creates these antibodies to it, it causes inflammation, and then our body kind of creates a dopamine response to drown out the inflammation. So then we kind of crave that dopamine response.
Right.
So it's like feel-good foods. We think it's good, but it's not always the case.
Right. All right. So one of the reasons you could also add celery to this. Some people really like celery in their chicken salad. I like to add all of this different stuff: the apple, the celery if I have it, the nuts. Just what you're doing is you are adding nutrition to a chicken salad. So the apple has a lot of fiber. The nuts have healthy fat. Depending on the mayo that you use, that's also healthy fat. The cranberries, dried cranberries, have antioxidants. The dill is an antioxidant. So it's a really, really simple, healthy summer salad that's going to give you a good amount of protein, a good amount of antioxidants. It's going to fill you up. And then what I would normally do, you are really good walnut chopper. That's all we're going to say about that.
Is that good? Is that
Yes.
good? Okay.
Plenty. All right. If you want to dump that in there, we'll mix it in. And then this is something that you definitely want to refrigerate. You can probably save it in the refrigerator for, I don't know, up to 5 days or so.
Okay.
It should stay good. So what I'll do when I'm making a chicken salad like this is I will make a lot of extra. So I might do 2 or 3 cans of that chicken.
And then keep it.
And then, and then it keeps for the whole week, and I have lunches, or I can send it with my kiddo or my husband.
Well, then that way, if you do it too, like a lot of times people do meal prep on a Sunday.
Yes.
Because the week seems to be always busy, especially if you got kids and you have like sports, practice and things like that. You just make extra, and it's easy to have for the rest of the week.
So this is a dill chicken salad, and it's loaded with antioxidants. Very simple to make. It's a nice cool salad for summer. And I was going to add something else to that, but I can't exactly remember. Oh, I usually eat this over over salad greens, but you can also put it on bread. You can put it on rice cakes, whatever you like to eat it, your chicken salad with. So I don't know about you.
Yeah, it looks really good.
All right. All right, so we are next going to be making a basil tomato salad using basil from the Tower Garden.
Business Pro Wi-Fi from Armstrong Business Solutions is more than just Wi-Fi. It enhances productivity, tightens security, and is tailor-made for small business. Take control over guest networks with a branded portal, protect sensitive data, and manage staff with the WorkPass app. Business Pro Wi-Fi gives you customer insight, turning analytics into opportunities. Get a fully connected business intelligence platform in the palm of your hand. Business Pro Wi-Fi from Armstrong Business Solutions.
All right, so the next thing we're gonna make is probably one of my most favorite summer recipes. I love getting fresh tomatoes at the farmer's market. When I don't kill tomatoes in my garden, I like, tomatoes in my garden. And this is also a great way to use up basil if you have a lot of basil. And basil is one of my favorite herbs. I don't know, do you have a favorite herb?
I don't know if I have
I'm gonna say that's a no.
I don't think I really have a favorite.
Basil is definitely my favorite, and it is in Mediterranean and in Mediterranean type cooking, Italian cooking. It's one of those herbs that is it's like a staple. So I absolutely love basil. So we're gonna make this tomato salad. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have, now you could chop these tomatoes finer than this, but I'm gonna just kind of cut these in half. And then, if you want to pick some basil.
I will have to say that I never used to eat basil until I started growing it on the tower.
Oh my goodness.
And then the smell of it is so good.
Oh. There's different kinds of basil too.
Oh yeah.
Some are more like, they'll taste a little bit more licorice-y.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd like that kind.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big black licorice fan, but there's all different kinds of basil. I do like I believe this is a sweet basil.
Yeah.
Oh, it smells so good.
Really good,
It smells so good. And basil is also a really good herb. It has antioxidant properties. You can see that anything that's very deep green like that is going to have more phytonutrients, more antioxidants. So when when doctors or when podcasters or all these health gurus like us, are you just eating it straight?
Straight up.
Straight up. So when you listen to these people talk about eating the rainbow, what you're going to notice in today's tomato salad is that we're going to have this deep red purple from our onion, the deep red from the tomatoes, and then this really bright green from the basil. We're also going to have some garlic in here. And then we're going to use vinegar, balsamic vinegar. You could also change this salad up, I think, since, in Mexican type of cooking, you could probably do this tomato with cilantro, which we're also growing in the Tower Garden. You could probably do a very similar salad. Instead of using balsamic vinegar and basil, you could use lime juice and cilantro.
That sounds good too.
Yeah.
Is that enough basil?
You know what? Actually, no, not for me.
More?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like basil. So again, this is one of those things, I don't really measure things. So with the basil, I just know I like a lot of basil, so I put a lot of basil in. I'm gonna cut up a few more of these tomatoes, and I managed to find some of these organic colored ones, which I really like. I'm probably using the wrong kind of knife, so sue me, I'm not a chef. Not a trained chef anyway. We're probably lucky there's been no blood on any of these shows.
You don't have to have all the fancy stuff,
well,
right? I mean,
that's what I like about this cooking show, because if you are not a natural born chef, or if you never learned how to cook, I never really did either. I had to learn all of this myself. So it's kind of nice to see a show with people who weren't necessarily natural in the kitchen. All right, so Mike, what I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you take this basil and I want you to chop it up.
Okay.
Okay? And it can be like, what I usually do with my basil, and it's totally up to you how you wanna do this, but I pile it up like this, and then I'll take a big bunch of it and I'll slice it down the center, and then I'll chop it that way. And that's usually just enough. They can be like a little bit longer strands too. But I'm gonna let you do it how you do it.
Now you're getting technical.
I'm sorry, I'm not a micromanager, so.
Now you're getting all technical on me.
I'm not gonna try to micromanage how you cut your basil. But I am gonna come over here and use my knife. All right, so with the garlic, this is a very large clove of garlic, and I normally would use more than one clove, but we don't have a ton of tomatoes here. So the garlic in this recipe can be very overpowering. So even though normally I will use more garlic, in this one I'm just gonna use the one. And we're also using onion. And I am going to, while you're working on that, I gotta go get a grater. That's what I forgot.
I think the main thing is to make it fun, right?
Make it fun.
And when you're actually doing all this work here, it's actually smells good. Gets the taste buds going.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna use, this is actually a zester. You can use a grater if you want to. I love this lemon zester for grating anything. Cheese, garlic, and you get that little bit left, I just throw that right in there too. Let's see.
It's like ragu.
Yes.
It's in there.
It's in there. Everything. All right, got this little bit of garlic. All right, so we've got our garlic, we've got our tomatoes. Oh, and again, I'm not a fan of chopping, so you could take this and you could put it in the veggie chopper. I'm not even gonna bother with that. I'm just going to cut some slices. And take the paper off. I'm just gonna try to cut some thin slices and throw those in there. I'm not gonna go overboard with the onion. I think that's probably pretty good for the onion. It smells strong. Okay, gonna throw that in there. Looks like you're doing a good job.
I went rogue on you a little bit.
I can tell you're not following instructions.
Just trying to speed up the process a little bit.
All right, if you want to go ahead and
Cut up enough.
just, yep, it looks like it should be fine. All right, so now we're going to take some balsamic vinegar, some olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and a little bit of salt and pepper, and that is going to be it for this very fresh summer salad. I like balsamic vinegar, so get a little extra in there. There we go.
It's amazing when you mix all this together how it tastes so good.
It's so good. So good. A little sprinkle of salt. A little bit of fresh cracked pepper. And then we're just gonna mix this all up. Now it's ideal if you can let this sit in your refrigerator for maybe an hour, let it chill, and let the flavors kind of marinate. But it smells so good already. I can smell the garlic, the basil, the vinegar. And that's it. So with this, there's a couple of things I would do. There's a lot of liquid. I don't know if you can see in the bottom. You can add more too. So a lot of times I'll add more balsamic to this. You can actually use this as a salad dressing. So if I pick some lettuce off of the Tower Garden, I'll just toss some of this, especially trying to get into that liquid in the bottom, right over the top of my greens. And yep, just like those, I think, what is that? Maybe romaine greens? Yeah, and or if you've got big enough ones, you could even eat it like a wrap. This is not really big enough.
Right.
You can also, if you are going to a summer party or a barbecue, you can use toasted bread rounds, and you can put this on top of a toasted bread round. Also super, super yummy. So that is our fresh tomato salad. Also store in the refrigerator for up to about a week. I'm gonna give that a try. Sorry, I know I'm taking your, let's do a fork for that. This is also exceptional. I actually did make some noodles. This is pretty exceptional at mixed into quinoa, cooked quinoa, and I usually cool the quinoa because you want this cool, or cooked and cooled pasta. Now, this pasta is edamame pasta, so it doesn't have the gluten in it. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of this.
Really good, fresh, kind of like a light, especially like you said, for summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll take a little bit of the pasta, and this is just so good and fresh. And I cooked this pasta and then I cooled it down. So I chilled it for a little bit. And again, super, super fresh, super good. And look, now you have a meal. And the reason that I use edamame pasta is not just because it's the gluten-free, I don't have a sensitivity to gluten. However, edamame pasta, the chickpea pastas that are out now, they're really high in fiber and protein. So if you are plant-based and you're looking to get more protein, those pastas are a great way to do it. What you think? Have you had this kind of pasta?
I have not.
Texture's a little different, but when you put something like this on it, I really feel like it's reasonable. I probably shouldn't have made you eat spaghetti on TV.
It's okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's good.
All right. All right, so we have one more recipe that we're gonna make. It's gonna be another quick one that we're gonna whip up. We're gonna be utilizing our edamame pasta with a fresh basil pesto, pesto is my absolute fave. All right.
High school sports, community events, all of your favorite local shows are calling the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel their home. Find out everything your neighborhood has to offer on Channel 100 or on YouTube. Spirit, town pride, local communities. This is the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
All right, so for our final recipe, we are going to be making a basil pesto. You can make cilantro pesto. There's all different kinds of maybe you could even make dill pesto, I don't know. But today we're gonna make the traditional basil pesto. And if you see me playing with my phone, it's not because I'm on TikTok. It's because this is one of the few recipes where I don't make it enough, and sometimes the measurements are important. This is one of those things where you don't want it to be too watery, you don't want it to be too thick. So you wanna make sure that you measure the olive oil correctly, which I probably am gonna have to go get. I didn't even bring measuring spoons and cups in here. So let's see here. This calls for 2 cups of fresh basil leaves, which is a lot. So we actually already picked some basil off, and I'm probably gonna have you pick a little bit more, Mike, but I actually did pick up a little bit of extra basil. Now, if you don't have enough basil, let's say you only have about 1 cup of fresh basil, the recipe says you can sub half of the basil leaves with baby spinach, which I thought that was kind of an interesting idea. Or if you don't like such a strong basil flavor, maybe subbing with a little bit of something else is fine. It's gonna call for a half a cup of freshly grated Romano or Parmesan cheese. Now, Mike said he's sensitive to dairy, so this is one of the ingredients that you could probably leave out if it's gonna cause you a problem. So Mike, I'll leave that up to you. I can leave that out of there.
You can add it.
It's gonna this calls for a half a cup of extra virgin olive oil, a third a cup of pine nuts, 3 cloves of garlic, and some salt and black pepper. So, and that's all gonna go into here. All right, so we are just gonna put, we're gonna make this super easy. We're gonna put everything right into there. So.
Okay.
Let's see here, you got the basil.
So there's some basil that was picked from the tire garden,
Yep.
but like you said, we already used quite a bit.
Right, we already did, and I don't want to use all the basil from there because I don't want to kill the basil plants. So far, I've kept things alive on this tower garden for the most part. So, yes, and that is a local.
Yeah, Buckeye Fresh.
Buckeye Fresh, yes.
Yeah.
That is Ohio grown. Little plug for
Buckeye Fresh,
grown
yeah.
locally.
So I know Tim Remington who started it. I think him
no
and his
kidding.
wife, yeah.
Well, there you go. All right, so I'm just gonna take the olive oil, and it does call for a half a cup of olive oil.
How much basil do you want?
A lot. We'll probably use that whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it says 2 cups, so
Okay.
it's a lot of basil. All right.
You're using a measuring cup.
I know. I know. I feel like with this kind of thing, it's really important to use, because if you
Right.
overdo or underdo the oil, it changes the recipe quite a bit. Woo, that's a lot of basil, right? All right, so if you really want to do the extra step, you probably can. I believe that the recipe does say at this point, you can do the olive oil and the basil first. And we're gonna add in, I'm gonna just do a little bit of lemon juice with that too. All right, and I don't have a top, so this is gonna be loud. Right. Okay, now we are gonna do 3 cloves of garlic.
My favorite.
Yeah, you wanna take the skin. I hate taking skin off of garlic. I'm
Yeah.
really bad at it. All right. Pine nuts. These were super expensive. I believe this little container was about $9. The recipe says you could sub walnuts for these, so you could do a walnut pesto. But I went ahead and, like I said, I'm doing a traditional pesto, so pine nuts. So the third a cup of pine nuts. This is a nice healthy fat. Add that in there.
Can't say that I've ever used pine nuts.
I don't think people use them for a whole lot. I've never used them aside from making pesto.
Yeah.
I've never used them. Just add in some of this black pepper. And I have to look at my recipe again to see how much of that cheese we're adding in. All right, half a cup of the cheese. You said you were okay
Yep, go
with
ahead.
this? Okay. Now, do you find that you're more sensitive to certain types of dairy?
A little bit, is not too bad. It's just when you have too much, but mostly like milk or even the ice creams, I would say, more so than the Parmesan cheese or something like that.
Do you know why that is?
Not really sure, but I know like cheddar cheese and even mozzarella, I don't have as much reaction to. So just maybe the way it's, processed.
So
been
most,
made.
if you find that you are sensitive to things like cottage cheese and ice cream and sour cream and those, that's the lactose, that's the milk sugar that you're intolerant to.
Right.
If you find that you can eat cheeses and the higher fat, if you were sensitive to these, you would be more sensitive to the milk protein. So you must be more sensitive to the milk sugar, not
Right.
the milk protein.
Right.
If you can eat cheese and because they pretty
Well,
much
I'll eat a little bit. I mean,
they pretty much take the lactose out of these. Okay, you know what? I am gonna just kind of chop this a little bit and make it easier
Okay.
on my food processor. All right. These out of the way. All right, so let's see here. Pine nuts, basil, olive oil, a little bit of lemon, cheese, salt, and pepper. That's everything. So we're just gonna put this back on,
chop it up some more.
chop it up some more, and turn it on high.
Now, are you looking for a certain consistency?
I like the pine nuts chopped up pretty well. And see, to me, it looks like it needs just a smidge more olive oil.
Yeah.
And you can, with this in particular, if you don't want to add olive oil in this step, you can always add olive oil as like as you take it out of your refrigerator. That looks like it's about good. So again, basil being full of these beautiful antioxidants. I mean, you can see how deep green that is. And you can spread this on toast. You could put this, I think what we're gonna do is put it on our edamame pasta. So let's see here. You know what? Can I have one of those little spoons over there?
Yep.
Okay.
You can put this like on flatbread pizza,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so
Yeah.
good. Yes. If you make, like a pesto pizza or a margarita pizza, oh, it's amazing. So yes, you can just put this right over, and I'll put some on yours.
Okay.
And what you would do is you might add a little bit more olive oil to this, and you just kind of toss it, and you'd have this lovely sauce. It tastes so good.
Yeah, just had some flatbread type pizza that we made with but we bought it in a jar. You know what I mean? The pesto.
Yes.
So this is.
And if you look at jarred pesto, sure, it's convenient, but there's typically going to be preservatives
Right.
in it and maybe some other ingredients that you might not be able to pronounce.
It's definitely not going to be fresh like this.
Right. He's mixing it up. He's even got some of those tomatoes in there.
Right.
It's really like the perfect meal.
Try to get a little bit here.
Once again, you're eating spaghetti on TV. Thoughts? Yeah? All right.
That's really good.
All right. So I don't know if you have anything else to add. I am absolutely loving my tower garden. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing for kids, helping people get healthier. My name is Kelly Bailey. This is Mike Hose. Our contact information is going to be within this video. Thank you for joining us today and making some of these healthy summer recipes using herbs and fresh grown lettuces.
See you guys next time.